Hello. Hello. I don't know if I have a sound, but my music doesn't want to come up. But anyway, magandang umaga. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's May 5, Wednesday, and it's a sad morning for me or for a lot of us in the media world. Dahil kagabi po, at around 10:30 yata po ng gabi, our dear uh, noted editor ng entertainment for Inquirer, columnist, broadcaster, TV show host, Ricky Law passed away last night. He had a stroke at hindi na po naka-recover last night. And my condolences to the Law family and to Tito Ricky Law, a colleague in the media industry. I don't think it's ever going to feel the same without him and the events and all the things, that all these years. Godspeed, Tito Rikilo, and condolences to your family. Do I have a sound? Parang wala yata akong audio. Let me see. I don't know what's wrong because my things are not working. What is it? Do I have audio? Can somebody please let me know if I have audio? Hold on a second. That one way to find out. Anyway, so happy Wednesday, everybody, and we're still in the topic of. There I have audio. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and we're still in the topic of how to cope in this pandemic, the businesses, how that we're surviving in this pandemic, and how we can thrive in this pandemic. No, nag-usapan natin kahapon yung mga yung tatlong there are three ways. Okay, we started to talk about how which top businesses have remained intact in this pandemic at nagpatuloy mamayagpag sa in this pandemic. Yun na nga unang-una yun. Of course, it was yung online learning, tapos yun nga yung mga delivery, online buying, retail, all those things that we mentioned yesterday. But how can businesses survive and thrive through this pandemic? Paano naman yung mga hindi yung nagsarado, right? At hindi nagpatuloy sa pandemic na to. Of course, there's new businesses to be had itong period na to ng time in this pandemic, right? But as far as the Philippines is concerned, right? Authorities forecasted a quick recovery in 2021, pero syempre the trends are saying otherwise. The Philippine economy kasi is mired in a recession with the year-to-date GDP at 10% as elevated COVID-19 infections na kasi continue to happen, right? At yung ating mga long lockdowns, of course, has affected our economy in a big way. Sabi ng mga nila, acknowledge the growth that will contract sharply on a year-on-year basis last 2020 but continues to bet on a quick recovery dapat this year and saka sa 2022. Kaso lang, sabi nila, the growth will likely enter a lower trajectory as current trends point to a very different scenario this year. With the Philippine economy missing contributions from every sector of the economy, talaga lahat na apektuhan. Consumption lacking the remittance. Household consumption kasi delivers the bulk of Philippine economic output. And we expect this sector to struggle given the elevated number of unemployment virus concerns tsaka fading remittance flows, di ba? Lumiliit na ang mga padala rin from abroad kasi nga worldwide tong pandemya, pati unemployment is on the rise. Overseas Filipino workers, lumiit ang remittance kasi nga maraming napauwi because of the pandemic. So, overseas Filipino remittances augment domestic incomes with households receiving an average of 59,295 annually. Roughly 19% ng average ng income sa Philippines yan. Land-based remittances will likely slide as global lockdowns kasi are reinstated. Yun na nga, paulit-ulit yung mga lockdown all over the world. Mag-restart yung economy pero tapos madami pa rin yung infections. So, lockdown ulit, right? Yun nga, yung mga land-based remittances will likely slide as global lockdowns are reinstated while a downturn in maritime traffic should impact remittances sent by mga seafarers na yun naman yung mga sa mga seamen, no? Sabi, this is based on ING findings. The authorities said ang estimate nila up to 300,000 Filipinos will be repatriated pa because of the pandemic. Yun na nga. So, nadideplete yung resources coming from mga overseas remittances kasi nga napauwi. Maraming napauwing OFW. Filipinos will continue to be sent home. 2.2 million Filipino contract workers kasi are based abroad. We forecast a 5 to 10%. They forecasted a 5 to 10% drop sa remittances pa itong taon na to, given the renewed lockdowns nga, tsaka negative prospects for maritime traffic. Yun na nga talaga affected with matching issues sa ating China Sea. Yan. This will translate to a drop of about 3.1 billion in 2020 and 2021. Ay nako. So, yun talaga yun. Ang affectado talaga rin yung mga OFW remittance. That's affected. Tapos, yung mga investments are nag-stall. Prior to the pandemic kasi, capital formation was increasing thanks to a construction boom coupled with the administration's hallmark mga infrastructure projects. Pero all those things syempre stopped because of the pandemic. Capital imports fell sharply in April last year and have recovered somewhat but remain below the 5-year average of 3.5 billion per month. We expect the recent downturn in capital goods to weigh on potential output kasi corporations are likely to put off large-scale investments, di ba? Pinut off, isinantabi muna ang mga investment ng malalaking kumpanya given the recession to protect cash nila and weather the downturn. So, i-spin-up muna yung mga projects, infrastructure projects, construction. Meanwhile, we also expect yung mga households to defer investment plans nila sa negosyo given the challenging job market. Reflected in a steep fall in road vehicle sales which are down to 44.6% for the year. Pati yung mga Philippine imports of capital goods. Tapos di ba nangyari pa yung nagkaroon ng shortage na pa yung sa meat, sa baboy, tapos tumaas lahat ng presyo. Right? In bank lending naman, in the bank lending area, declining investment momentum kasi is mirrored in trends for commercial bank lending, which has now been decelerating for 5 months na since last year. For more than 5 months. Loan disbursements to retail, trade, and manufacturing have turned negative. See, konti na lang naglo-loan kasi nga, sarado naman mga negosyo, paano maglo-loan kahit na mga SMEs, right? Kahit na small business establishments. Nag-suffer din yan, right? Ang inflation, talaga, tumaas ng presyo. So, how are we going to cope in this pandemic sa ganitong sitwasyon, right? Well, yun na nga, despite the pandemic, right, majority of small businesses in the Philippines remain confident that they will continue to grow amidst this crisis, this coronavirus crisis. Ah, sabi na nga around 88% of small and medium size, ito pa yung mas nag-aano talaga nitong pandemic yung the small businesses, kasi nga yung malalaking corporations, malalaking companies, they set aside muna their investments. At the same time, yun na nga, yung malalaking company, yung mga iba na may production or may assembly line or even yung mga call centers, most of their employees, right, a big percentage work from home. Kasi nga, lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, ayaw nga kasi nag-gather ng maraming tao sa isang place because of social distancing. So that brought about a cut in personnel, a cut in pay for a lot of people na nag-opisina. Hindi na 100% yung kanilang staffing sa in actual office situation. Pero dahil dyan nga, around 88% of small and medium-sized enterprises are confident sa growth nila in the next 3 years. According to a survey conducted by SAP-SE or SAP at saka Oxford Economics, titled Digital Resilient and Experience Driven, How Small and Mid-Sized Organizations Can Prepare for the New Economy. Hi, Jake. Good morning, Jake. Happy Wednesday to you too. 89% of the small to medium enterprises or businesses also adjusted their employees to work remotely or work at home due to the tough lockdowns implemented in the past months, diba? To supposedly help curb the number of COVID-19 infections. Alam na natin ngayon dahil yung mga opisina, kung kaya nilang ng social distancing, ayusin nila yung kanilang environment. Look at this, the levels of remote working have skyrocketed due to the lockdowns, all right? Diba? And are likely to remain higher than precise levels for some time. The share of employees working remotely, look at this graph. Sa IT business, ang pinakamalaki rin talaga, pinakamaraming nag-work from home, yung mga IT. Dahil alam naman natin, as long as meron kang internet na mahusay, right? Pwede kang magtrabaho from home or anywhere basta meron kang wifi or internet data. So nangunguna sa top of the list of people working from home are information and TMT services, right? Sunod ay professional and business services. Next ay financial activities, okay, mga bangko, manufacturing, mga production sa mga pabrika, at ang pinakalas, education and health services. Because I know na even if the schools are closed, some of the employees and staff of the schools go to the physical school, syempre to monitor yung mga nag-online, tsaka to have the operations going on. Keep it going, right? So yan ang mga graph natin ng because of the lockdown. This is the percentage of remote work. Okay, so all right, so for the rest of the Asia Pacific region, SAP continued to recognize the Philippines as one of the fastest growing markets in the world amidst this global health crisis. Coping as far as coping with this coronavirus pandemic is concerned. Sabi nila, 69% of these enterprises across the region have invested in IT, and digital solutions to cope with the new working conditions, which is what we did, the Philippines, right? Kaya nga ang education dito online, if not modules. That's what the government invested on last year, and they're still still in the development stages of, growing pains ng online education, but at least in-address siya ng ating gobyerno at binigyan ng concern. Of this, okay, 79% of local SMEs have also implemented the same changes to their workers. Yun na nga, as nag-online ng education, yung mga negosyo, naging ganun din. Yung mga call center, diba? Pinauwi nila yung mga computers nila, pinaset up nila, naka-remote network, and people have been working from home for more than a year now. The SAP offered two solutions for local SMEs to help improve their businesses: the SAP Business One and the SAP Business by Design. Okay. Ang SAP is a global cloud software, and Oxford Economics is a global economic forecasting and analytic firm. Sila ang nagbigay ng survey na ito, right? The Philippines entered into a recession last year, wherein the country's gross domestic product or ang GDP natin naghang. Oops, naghang yung aking computer. Hold on, please. Sorry. I was saying that we had a recession last August at the country's gross domestic product or GDP saw a decline of 16.5% in the second quarter of 2020, which was the lowest recorded quarterly growth since 1981, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. This means the country incurred a hefty 680 billion economic loss noong second quarter ng 2020. Last May naman, last year, the Department of Labor and Employment also estimated that an alarming 10 million workers lost their jobs last year due to the economic crisis and the pandemic. In the same month na May, around 2.5 million workers have lost their jobs due to the lockdown or to the ECQ or Enhanced Community Quarantine implemented last March of last year. So, the national unemployment rate of the country eased up naman in July when strict community quarantine measures were lifted. Alright? Nung binabalik na sa trabaho, naalala niyo ng July. Pero yun na nga, after that, dumami naman yung infections ulit sa Quezon City, sa Manila, sa NCR. Kaya, tayo, balik-balik lockdown, balik-balik, palit-palit lockdown na, right? But as they said, no, there are ways, okay, that we can cope up or we can fend in this pandemic. Na-mention ko nga yung mga industries na yun or yung mga companies na yun na nag-thrive pa rin. Included na dyan yung mga delivery, right? Ng pagkain or commodities or yung food shop. So, ulitin natin, ano yung mga top 5 businesses that thrive itong pandemya na ito, right? The pandemic has given rise to new businesses actually, if not the strengthening of existing ones, like I said yesterday. Talaga kasi may mga nag-remain, may mga naman, dami naman nag-usbong na opportunities, especially online. Pardon me. Right? Especially online. Kasi especially those who have, those existing businesses that have pivoted at nag-innovate at na-reinvent yung mga sarili na niya to apply in this digital with the use of digital technologies in our now present digital world. Ano ba yan? Nagbabakal ako, gutom na kasi ako. Di pa nga nag-breakfast and dinner was I had early dinner yesterday. So yung aking intermittent fasting sumobra yung hours ng aking walang food, ha? But anyway, some of these businesses are diba, pinag-usapan natin kung anong mga business nagtathrive dito sa pandemic. Some of these businesses are, of course, again, delivery, logistics, microfinance, financial technologies, neighborhood mini market, or yung mga private market grocers, business solution software, and personal care services. Of course, online learning, kasama dyan. Well, nung last month, si Miss Alegria Binglimhoco, chairman of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, enumerated some businesses that she thinks are thriving and doing well in this pandemic. I will mention several of them. according to Miss Bing Ling Hoko, friend of my dad. Rest in peace, Daddy. And good friend ng family yan, si Miss Bing Lim Hoko. If I'm not mistaken, sila yung Alimars ng araw, right? Alam niyo yung Alimars before National Bookstore was Alimars. It's giving away my age, but no, I was a little girl at the time. Dinadala kami ng dad ko sa Alimars para bumili ng school supplies. Dahil yung may-ari sila, Miss Bing Lim Hoko. Anyway, so let me enumerate some of the businesses that she referred as top-notch businesses that were standouts during the outbreak of the COVID-19 and continue to do well. Okay, ito ay of course yung delivery services, right? Delivery services and logistics naturally flourished out of necessity. Siyempre naman. Kasi nga, social distancing, bawal lumabas. So, thus, di ba dati kung meron tayo ng Grab or Lala Move, dumami-dami na. Pero yun na nga, nawala na yung angkas. Na sikat before the pandemic. Yung angkas, wala. Kasi nga, bawal social distancing. Hindi ka pwede umangkas kay manong rider. No way. Delivery, oo, silang mag-isa lang, right? So delivery services and logistics naturally flourished because of the strict movement restrictions. Food ordered from restaurants, fast food chains, and individual sellers, and all kinds of stuff, whether it's goods or services, were offered online, of course, and delivered. So anything that you can order and be bought online, diba, needed to be delivered by a third party. So that's nga, yun, dumami yung mga riders, dumami yung mga nagde-deliver, right? It is not only the well-known courier delivery brands that are flying high during this crisis. Totoo. Dahil maraming, yung iba nga kolorum, dahil wala namang rehistro, pero maraming private, delivery companies or courier service. Even si Mr. Joe Aficionado, rin siya ng online delivery. Hala, the name escapes me at the moment, pero kasi ayoko naman mag-endorse at mag-advertise. Hindi man natin sila sponsor. Pero yun na nga, si Mr. Joel Cruz ng Aficionado na pabango. Maminensyo ko yung brand pero kasi kilala naman siya for that. He also put together his own parang Lala Move at Grab. I forget the name, sorry. Pero yun, meron din siyang binukas na gano'n kasi alam niya naging lucrative talaga. So, hindi lang yung mga well-known courier delivery brands are flying high now in this pandemic, but other individual riders that offer their services to targeted communities like yun na nga, yung mga elderly or sa mga particular villages, kailangan nila ng mag-deliver o mag-order or at the same time, yun nga, meron din mga online grocers mamamalengke para sa inyo, especially yung mga tatanda na wala namang kasama sa bahay kundi sila lang. So, they cater to the villages whose residents need runners, di ba? For their medical and grocery needs. So, yun ang negosyong lumaki. So, yung iba nagbilihan ng motorcycle o yung mga dati nilang Grab at Uber, ginamit na nila rin pag-deliver, right? Some individual riders also banded together to provide services to some individuals for a fee. Siyempre naman, negosyo nga for a fee. Right? So ano pa ang naging mahusay na negosyo na nagpatuloy na nagpo-proliferate before the pandemic and even more so ngayong pandemic? It is digital solutions, okay? Kasi as companies and even small establishments transition their operations from traditional brick-and-mortar businesses to online businesses at i-transfer nila gawing digital ang negosyo and online. They also need business software solution providers, di ba? So, hindi lang ganun kadali to go online. You need software, you need expertise, you need professionals to help you. As such, yung mga techie, di ba? Freelancers and all, kahit na undergrad, pag kagaya ng anak ko, basta techie, but nagkaroon tuloy sila ng trabaho, right? Ngayon, and also, whether you're a trainer in IT, or actually doing troubleshooting online, technically, ayan, nagkaroon ng mga ganong trabaho, right? Excuse me, pardon me. Nagda-dry ang throat ko kasi. Sorry. Yun nga yung mga young tech individuals with enough knowledge to provide simple and basic digital solutions, naging in demand sila, right? At along that line din kasi are mga graphic artists. Kasi nga, because we went digital, and ang marketing naging digital, kailangan mong gawin yung mga ad and promo mo online, right? So, yan. So, kailangan na dyan yung mga artists, web designers, content writers, copywriters, writers, ayan, naging maraming trabaho, which is, I liken that to my case. I actually have more work now than before the pandemic because everything that I do is now virtual, right? Even my training, even my, of course, my writing, and broadcasting like this sa inyo, diba? So, along with this mention ko na digital solution is the rise of financial technology solutions. There are providers of this because yung mga establishments prefer na nga cashless, ano ba yan talaga nabubulin ako today, cashless transactions kasi nga sa social distancing para to minimize yung exchange of hands and cash handling. So, naging lahat interactive na or virtual. Thus, we saw naging popular yung GCash, right? Ang GCash, PayPal. Yung Paymaya, nabura-bura na nga medyo pero more on GCash and PayPal. Kasi PayPal, yung mga international na nagbabayad, pwede. As goods and services providers, kailangan nyo itong mga modes of payment na to, right? So, yun, dumami rin yung ganyan na financial technology solutions offer. Before noon, Paymaya, PayPal, matagal na ang PayPal. Pero yun, yung GCash, all of a sudden, pwede mo nang pangbayad ng lahat, right? Thus, the proliferation of new apps, app development din nag-boom dahil dyan to facilitate cashless transactions. So, mostly in the techie world, the technical world ay nagkaroon sila ng maraming opportunities, right? Yung mga geeks, yung mga techie, mga nakakagawa ng app, ng software, ng programs, yan. Sila nagkaroon rin ng extra income, either extra income or full-time jobs, teaching or freelancing. Ano pa ang ang negosyo na okay to have and to be in nowadays na nagpapatuloy ang progress even before the pandemic? They're already doing good, but now all the more so. Another aspect or another branch of business is microfinance. Another notable new business that came to the fore in this time of this pandemic is the proliferation of microfinance firms, di ba? That serve as conduits for the government's ayuda. Ano yun? Kasi, aside from yung mga remittance centers like yung mga lower layer, di ba? Western Union, o kung ano-ano pa, several online microfinance firms, aside from them, most of them still need to establish their credibility, right? But they were sprouting everywhere and offering loans to the impoverished Filipinos. Small business loans, small startup loans. Kasi nga, dahil sa pandemic, transportation became difficult. In the beginning nawala yung Grab. That is who is my friend. Pero ngayon pwede na. Many neighborhood markets found their way into strategic locations, easily a walking distance from villages and communities. Okay? So, nagkaroon ng rise ng mga many neighborhood markets that offer basic daily needs, mostly food, vegetables, and fruit. In other words, sari-sari store. Diba? Na nag-usbungan din yung mga ganyan. Right? As more households kasi are encouraged to produce their own bread and pastries, we see the sprouting of bakery rin and bakery supply stores. Yun na nga, because of this pandemic, hindi lang yan. Yung mga nagtitinda ng mga seeds or yung mga grass or whatever or yung mga paso. dahil sa pandemic rin, nagkaroon ng maraming mga plantitos and plantitas, maraming gardeners, all of a sudden maraming nagka-green thumb, na-realize nila pala na they discovered for themselves na, uy, I have a green thumb pala. Green thumb, for those na this is a figurative or idiomatic expression to mean, pag may green thumb ka, you can make plants grow. The green, you can make them grow. Right? So, and in that connection, hindi lang mga planters, yun nga mga cooks, ang daming naging cook bigla dahil sa pandemic na ito. And people started to do their own businesses online because na, uy, sarap pala ng cookies na ginawa ko, gagawa na ako ng maraming, I'll take orders. Or lasagna, or sushi bake, all those things na uso yung selling online ng mga ginagawa mo niluluto mo sa bahay na masarap. So everybody started selling food also online. Hindi mo na kailangan ng physical pwesto dahil online is your market, right? At expansive naman yung market mo. So, these stores do not only provide ito yung mga baking ingredients and raw materials, but it also provides equipment and tools necessary for the trade. As such, neighborhood bakeries are also flourishing this time. Or mga sari-sari store, or bakeries, or bake shop. Ano pa ang trabaho or business that is doing well? Well, personal care services, alright? Kahit na ni-lockdown tayo for some time, di ba? Ang pinakahuling nagbukas actually mga personal care services. Personal care services like salons had to innovate to comply with the health and safety protocols. For instance, sabi ni Ms. Bing Lim Hoko, sinite niya yung case of Reyes Cutters, which have innovated by bringing their services to a garden setting. O, di ba? Ang ganda. Ginawa nilang open air kasi, di ba, sabi natin, mas safer tayo sa hindi kulong na area. So, ginawa nila, nagugupit sila open air, garden setting. Believe it or not, but one personal service that flourished is permanent makeup. Permanent makeup daw na service na sumikat ay permanent makeup. Kasi nga mga tao, ayaw na ng everyday nagme-makeup, hindi na kailangan, especially sa lockdown or ECQ. Permanent makeup is not only for vanity, it is also for self-esteem and convenience of patients who lost their eyesight or poor eyesight, have lost their hair due to chemo, or have neural disorders. So, okay lang yung magpa-permanent makeup, right? Sumikat din yan. Other services include, sa mga salon, okay? Kasi nga nagbukas na yung mga salon, pero they were the last ones to open. Tapos muntik na namang isara ulit, diba, nitong last na lockdown ng Philippines, pero thank God, binalik na sa GCQ. MECQ pala. Ano pang mga services ang pwede? Other services include deep cleaning and carpentry, as Filipinos with money during the pandemic are making themselves busy by doing home improvements like repainting or doing house repairs, right? So, yung personal care services, of course, hanggang ngayon, may mga parlor pa na bukas dahil feeling talaga natin, kailangan natin once in a while mag-relax or magpa-manicure. Pero hindi yata allowed pa yung mga spa, yung mga massage parlors. I don't think so, right? Right? Tapos ano pa, a business name, syempre, now one question is, these are the companies that are still existing and have existed before the pandemic. Paano naman yung mga gusto mag-umpisa ng negosyo sa pandemic na ito? Di ba, we already had our lesson on that. But of course, it's okay to keep asking about it again, and then how we will help you how to set up a business in this pandemic. Kaya nga, meron ako i-check. Okay? So, Jay, can you hear me okay? Hindi ka pa naman kumikibo dyan kung nagreklamo ka, hindi mo ako marinig. But anyway, I think I can hear myself. So, going back to the subject matter, alright? Some of the businesses that that are also good in this pandemic. Wait a minute. Sabi nila kasi there are three ways businesses can survive, right, and thrive through COVID-19 and beyond. Talaga? Pwede kaya? Well, it's possible, di ba? Three things ang may mention ko sa inyo. Number one, organizational agility was once desirable but is now central to business survival. Meaning, yung COVID-19 pandemic is primarily a global health crisis, right? It is a it is a problem na kaya yung pandemic, the whole world is experiencing this global health crisis. But it has had vast economic and social repercussions. Even with certain economies slowly and cautiously reopening, lalo na sa Amerika, sa amin, na nagpa-vaccine na halos lahat, very hopeful ang America, of course, na ma-restart ng properly ang economy. Even with certain economies slowly and cautiously reopening na nga, even with sa Pilipinas, the combined effect of the pandemic and the necessary mitigation measures such as prolonged lockdown, curfews, physical distancing, this has led to a global recession largely because of the rare twin supply-demand shock. Ano yung sabihin ng rare twin supply-demand shock? The twin shock caused by the outbreak has important implications for business, right? First, yung supply shock ay nire-reduce niya yung economy's ability to produce goods and services at a given price because of the closure of non-essential industries and physical distancing measures. An industry reduced capacity to produce goods. For example, 60% of its pre-crisis output contributes to the supply stock. So, anong kailangan mong gawin, di ba? You have to regulate your supply shock. Okay? Ano pang sunod is the in-demand shock. Kung kanina supply-demand shock, ito in-demand shock. The demand shock. It reduces the consumer's ability to purchase goods and services at a given price because of an increased demand for healthcare-related products and a decrease in high-risk activities, such as going to restaurants or traveling. Yan naman talaga eh. Yung mga ibang tao talaga, nakakatakot talaga rin kumain sa labas because even if you have a face mask, syempre tatanggalin mo, hindi ka naman pwedeng kumain ng takip sa lubig. Pero because the enemy is invisible, you don't know where it is inside the restaurant, right? So delikado talaga. That's why people are advised to just stay home and order in. Syempre medyo mahal nga yung mag-order ng pagkain, pero for your safety and your health, you know, we must comply, right? Okay. Loss of income could also contribute to the demand shock as this decreases the demand for purchase such as homes, cars, and other appliances. So, ano ba to? Ang loss of income kasi, na pwede nating i-ano sa demand shock is because of the decrease ng demand, right? Ng mga, hindi ka makabenta ng bahay, tsaka yung mga cars, di ba, wala masyadong bumibili, tsaka yung mga appliances nga. Kasi, ang binibili ng tao, mostly pagkain, right? Or, yun na nga, sa Lazada, tsaka sa Shopee, yung mga techie gadgets na kailangan nila for online learning. Yan ang mga naging in demand, right? Sabihin na natin na the global crisis has forced economies to pause, di ba? At sinabi ko kanina, yun ng mga capital investments yun, tsaka mga big companies, they have put their investment plans at a halt. Because nga, lahat tayo ginagauge pa yung pagbabalanse ng economy sa virus, right? Kasi this global crisis has forced economies to pause na and presented businesses with a unique opportunity to use massive challenges and to make meaningful changes. So, anong kailangan natin gawin para mag-survive sa pandemic na ito yung negosyo? Number one is to combine speed and stability. Diba? Ipaghaluin natin ang speed tsaka stability. Organizational agility is the ability of a company to quickly change or adapt in response to the rapidly changing market. Diba? It encompasses two major dimensions, speed and stability. With regards to the former, a business needs to be nimble and responsive in keeping with the changing times. Dapat talaga lagi tayong upgraded. Dapat lagi tayong up to date sa mga nangyayari, sa mga pangyayari, right? Para hindi tayo nahuhuli. This includes being innovative and dynamic in its thinking and actions. However, to ensure its sustained success and the ability to scale up operations, there needs to be a set of core elements. Okay? Thus, the latter component of stability or the solid backbone becomes crucial. So, ibig sabihin talaga, you know, maintindihan natin, right? Kung ano ang how to go about it with speed and stability. Okay? Tapos, while yung organizational agility was once desirable, ngayon, it's now become central to survival. Kailangan na talaga. The study shows that COVID-19 has forced agile transformation in several companies at an extraordinary level. Ibig sabihin, drastic yung mga change, right? So that you can move into the digital world. An example of this is LUG, a company headquartered in Poland that brings over 30 years of experience in the lighting industry. Ito example niya. And technical facilities, meron pa sila yung LUG or LUG. Given the context of the changing demands as a result of the outbreak, the firm prioritized the development and production of a new family of luminaires, ilaw, which use UV technology to combat harmful microorganisms. Yun ang inunan niya, right? Using its existing knowledge and skills in the industry as its core elements. LUG rapidly pivoted production to start manufacturing a product that offered a solution to hospitals and clinics, shops, and server other public facilities. Aba, maganda naman pala ang nangyari, right? So, once again, that's important, combine speed and stability. Ano pa ang kailangan natin? Turn digitization into an advantage, right? In a survey conducted in 2015, 82% of the executives that responded agreed on a need to transform digitally the way their firms source and manage labor, but only 23% had devised and implemented a strategy for it. Talaga naman. Hindi marami naman ang nag-transform right away. However, di ba, yung COVID-19 pandemic has led to an historic implementation of digitization in ways only imagined. Kung araw kasi, di ba, hindi mo ma-imagine ito na mangyayari. Data suggests that in a matter of 8 weeks, we have vaulted 5 years in customer and business digital adoption. The outbreak has led to structural shifts. Ang mga pagbabago na to, pati customer preference, di ba, yung buying power ng tao, yung profile ng tao, yung kanilang habits or buying habits or ay naiba. Diba? Including in customer preference of digital engagement and moving to remote working for employees nga, right? Because of that kasi, yun ang naapektahan ng malaking way na nagpa-uwi ka ng mga trabahador to spend most of their time working at home. You know, and as I showed you the graph, right, it seems like people are speculating. They're saying that even after this pandemic situation and after the vaccine, people still have to be mindful. And I think some companies will still also let the work from home. Kasi naman healthy environment naman yun eh. Diba? Na nasa home ka rin and safe against the virus. That's why a lot of companies, international companies, of course, more so, have opted to divide their staffing. Yung iba nga, I have students in Tokyo, right? And most of these are professionals that I, have conversations with. And most of them, the ones from Tokyo, have not seen their mga kamag-anak na malayo na natatanda kasi nga they're afraid of infecting their kamag-anak na matatanda kasi nga they could be asymptomatic. Like you and I can be asymptomatic but we don't know it. Because ako kasi dati lumalabas ako nag-grocery na mamalengke and you mingle with other people kahit na I keep my distance. Pero sometimes nga talaga makikita mo yung iba hindi sumusunod talaga eh. Pag may pila na nanunulak pa, dapat social distancing, right? Okay, so we're going back to the topic of our, remote working. The percentage of remote work increased, right? Unang-una na doon nga yung IT, 84%, professional and business services, 74%, financial activities, 70%, manufacturing, 61%, at yung huli ay education and health services, which I think is really actually proliferating yung online education. Dito sa pandemic, ayan, malakas ang kita ng mga may-ari lalo na ng mga eskwela na yan. The challenge of the pandemic for businesses has not only been to sustain your productivity through digitized operations, but to refocus on new opportunities spurred by it. Paano naapektuhan ang buhay mo at ng digital? In a big way, meron, right? It's in part a cultural shift where digitalization is seen less as an acceptable solution to a problem and more as catalyst to change the business model creatively for the better. Pero yung sa mga nakakaintindi naman talaga, it's okay, right? If you have to, not go to work physically anymore but work from home. Like I said, a lot of the people have been working from home in other countries for more than a year now. Tayo naman at least nagpabalik na sa trabaho ang gobyerno pero hindi pa lahat talaga, right? So, some workers are still hati-hati operating from their homes, lalo na yung call centers, right? Tsaka yung mga online English teachers rin, like myself. Okay? So, ano pa ang kailangan gawin? Drive systematic change through cooperation. Okay? The COVID-19 pandemic has been a reminder of how interconnected entire societies are today. Talaga naman, in a way, kagaya sinabi ko rin yan kahapon, para tayong nagkapit-kapit kamay and all of a sudden being mindful of each other, caring about each other, wondering what is happening in the world around us in other countries. We have become more mindful. We have become more connected. We have become more caring about others and their situation. Diba? Drive a systematic change through cooperation. Yun na nga talaga, hand in hand tayong lahat. Kaya natin itong lampasan kasi we can put up a concerted effort to support the present conditions in this new normal, right? Yung Transport Corporation of India nga, this is India's leading logistics service provider, is one of the new champions to identify and develop this. In a sector still wedded to paper waybills, mga receipts and administration across multiple touch points ay naapektuhan, right? So, yan ang drive to systematic change through cooperation. So, everybody must work together, right? So, what is next? The world is reeling from COVID-19. Hindi pa humihinto, hindi natin masasabi kung kahit kailan. Pero one thing for sure is we have to keep safe because we have to love ourselves enough to care for ourselves and our health. Right? So, itong pandemic na to, right, we have come to realize a lot of things, especially in our free time, which is a lot of free time for a lot of people. But while it is difficult to know what will happen next, it is possible to draw on the lessons of the past year to see that opportunities are now available and more pa, right? But all online. Businesses need to work on responding to the current crisis while simultaneously building to thrive in a new reality that focuses on agility, digitization, and multi-stakeholder cooperation or collaborations. The three components are interrelated and need focused strategies to ensure success. Okay? So, despite this pandemic, meron tayo pa rin chance talaga naman na mabuhay ng masagana, safe, because nga most majority of small businesses in the Philippines remain confident that they will continue to grow amidst this novel coronavirus pandemya na never natin in-expect mangyayari sa atin, right? So anyway, if anybody has questions, please feel free to fill them in. Jake, nakapag-submit ka na ba ng module? Natapos mo ba? Submit mo lahat ng requirements mo? I hope so. Okay. So, we talked about, okay, the fields of business and expertise na pwedeng tumutuloy pa rin ang tagumpay dito sa pandemic, right? Hats off to you guys. And a lot of them have tried to educate and retrain their employees dahil sa pag-transition to digitalized, right? Okay. So what are the business ideas to launch during a pandemic? We already talked about that in a separate episode, pero I don't mind reiterating things that will help, right? Starting a business during COVID-19 may seem impossible in the beginning. But these 11 types of businesses, I will tell you, these types of businesses that I will tell you can help you launch a business and even help others during the pandemic. Okay, so let's go to it. All right. From digital marketing to online delivery services, there are several needs that the pandemic has spurred among consumers. Starting a business before kasi entailed a lot of money, but like I mentioned in my previous shows, nowadays hindi na ganun kailangan yung ganun kalaking money kasi makakapag-invest ka ng maliit na bagay pero malaking returns in the long run. You try to look for those jobs online. Mm-hmm. Starting a business during a pandemic might not seem like an ideal idea, but it actually could be a great entrepreneurial decision. While there are many COVID-inspired business ideas sprouting in the business world today, there are many ways traditional businesses can adapt during COVID-19. Kung ikaw negosyante, di ba, if you understand and adapt to your challenges, pwede ka mag-umpisa ng isang maliit na negosyo. Huwag niyong nininega ka agad, di ba, yung possibilities. Okay? So again, we will repaso what kind of jobs kasi I get so many texts, pakiulit daw po yung listahan kung anong pwedeng magtrabaho or yan, Okay, let me answer now. One of the businesses that will do well that are doing well is online consulting business, right? Yun na nga, dapat freelancer ka or consultant ka. No, online consulting business is doing well in this pandemic. Bakit? Kung psychiatrist, syempre kailangan ng guidance emotionally or psychologically yung mga ibang tao, pwede sila mag-Zoom meeting one-on-one, right? Ano pa? That is the online consulting business. No matter what your professional background is, you have knowledge and expertise. You have knowledge and expertise to share with people, right? From professional skills such as supply chain management of finance, hanggang sa lifestyle skills such as basic music classes or dietitian consultant, you can see. Yan ang kailangan ngayon, right? How do you start an online consulting business where you can connect with clients and offer them insight as to how they can scale and improve their business? So, ang nangyayari niyan, kailangan maging part ng become an expert in how COVID-19 is a changing business. So, you have to think about that. Now we are already in the digital world, right? So next thing to consider is graphic design, di ba? Sabi ko niya sa inyo, yung graphic design work, hindi na kailangan ng ahensya because ang daming magagaling dyan na graphic designer, mga estudyante who are also moonlighting, pero nag-aaral naman sila online but they just need the extra money. So, ang graphic design Graphic design is a hot commodity for any business, right? Most companies want to stand out with their graphics, pagandahan ng visuals, pagandahan ng, kahit na nga yung mga vlog, pagandahan ng content, right? Pero itong mga graphic designer pa rin, they're still king sa paggagawa ng mga creative billboards or design. Kasi most companies want to stand out with their ads, di ba? But they don't have the in-house capabilities to do so. So whether it be their logo, events graphics, or professional materials, companies need sleek and professional looking design, di ba? Kaya magandang mong ginagawa from scratch yung mga ibang design, like the girlfriend of my son. She can make a logo from scratch and not have to refer to those other sometimes you'll have a long-standing line of clients talaga kung mag-freelance ka, right? I always advise the girlfriend of my son who's a graphic artist. I said she can earn more money doing freelance work than working in the office, right? But regardless of the workload, graphic design is constantly in need. And that's the truth, right? So, there, graphic design. Ano pa ang sumikat tong past year kahit na ito's already in existence? App development. Yay! I used to be marketing apps before. And this was before the pandemic. Pero nga, yung mga app developer, mga IT, ang dami nila ngayong opening for those people and their expertise, right? The coronavirus caught many companies off guard. Of course, we have to admit that, And pati kanilang pag-operate na apektuhan. Now, many are struggling to find an efficient way to connect with customers on a digital platform. Kasi nga, ma-delay naman yung report na sa customer. As an app developer, you can help businesses adjust to the coronavirus and the shutdowns it causes by creating apps to help them during the pandemic. They also need apps to continue to grow in a digital age. Okay? So yan na, app development is also on the rise. Anyway, more on this tomorrow as time is flying and time just flew. Di ko na naman namalayan ay oras na pala para itapos ang ligaya nating pag-uusap. Maligaya. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Tomorrow we will continue pa to talk about how you can survive in business and what the ways to do it in this pandemic and to continue existing businesses to move forward. Thank you so much for joining me, my dear friends, and of course Jake always. And happy Wednesday. Please keep the faith, hope, and love always in your hearts and in your mind. And always remember that this too shall pass. There's light at the end of the tunnel and a rainbow at the rainbow's end. Whatever that is, basta meron itong hangganan. Okay? Maraming salamat po for joining me this Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. And happy birthday, Reg Guerrero. Happy birthday, Lemba Lagot from Los Angeles. To mga kaibigan na to. Happy birthday to Yen Nakap sa Saturday yata. And me, my own birthday is on Sunday. But thank you so much for joining me. And I hope to see you again tomorrow, 11 o'clock. Maraming salamat. Ay mag-play ng music ko. Siguro kailangan ko mag-reboot. But maraming salamat. Thank you very much for joining me. Goodbye.